Gearing up for another round with this storm. Some of us will see rain, others snow. What will you see? I'll let you know.
A somber night in the NBA after a coach suffers a heart attack at a team dinner last night and dies this morning here in Salt Lake.
A House committee passes a bill that could prevent transgender Utahns from using the public bathrooms they want to use. Why supporters say this brings more equality to women in Utah, but opponents feel it discriminates against an already targeted group.
It stops discrimination. This does not create discrimination.
Pushback tonight after another controversial bill passes out of committee, where the bill to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion offices is heading next.
Ozempic obsession, Mounjaro mania, Wegovy whimsy. We've all heard about Hollywood's latest weight loss secret. I'll show you how using injections like Ozempic to shed some pounds has caused more issues than one.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Hi everyone, we have gotten past the latest blast of winter weather. It came through this morning and afternoon, but we are expecting more rainy weather.
But we are still seeing snow in northern Utah right now. This is a live look at one of UDOT's cameras up in Box Elder County. Just goes to show you, it all depends on where you are.
That is the truth, especially in Utah. Let's go to Weather Authority Breck Bolton to start our coverage tonight. Hi, Breck.
Well, good evening. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Depending on where you're at and what the temperature is currently at here as we look across northern Utah, where temperatures below freezing going north of Brigham City in that area. Box Elder County moving through Cache County. We're starting to see that snow falling from Snowville down through Tremonton. You're definitely seeing a well-defined transition line where you look at that area of peak now moving through Brigham City. It's a mixture of some rain and snow. South of that, you're seeing a little bit of green. That is rain. So looking at these temperatures where showers impacting across extreme northern Utah, that snow falling and accumulating where we've kept temperatures below freezing here throughout the day. Where currently right now in Logan, you're at 31 degrees, 29 in Tremonton, but moving through the Wasatch Front, areas such as Salt Lake City through Tooele, that's where we're seeing temperatures above freezing. So once you get south of Ogden, as we'll see that precipitation moving further southward, that's where we see rain or a mixture of some rain and snow. But in Utah County, like in Provo, temperatures even closer towards freezing. So depending on where you're at, this storm's going to be making its move here in the overnight hours. Thus, from the National Weather Service, we're still holding on to a winter storm warning in effect, highlighted in peak here, where the mountains picking up anywhere between 6 to 12 inches of additional snow. Now, the showers will be falling in the overnight hours. But looking at Salt Lake City, the timing of this next wave coming in between 10 and 11 o'clock, where we start to see some rain moving in the overnight hours. Is there a period, though, where it transitions to snow? And what does it mean for your tomorrow morning's commute? I'll answer that coming up in just a bit.
Breck, thank you so much. Slides impacted 2 canyon roads today along the Wasatch Front. UDOT says SR 92 is closed in both directions about a mile north of the intersection with Provo Canyon because of an avalanche.
Also, a closure in Big Cottonwood Canyon earlier today. This is why. UDOT says a few sloughs hit the road. A slough is a small avalanche of loose snow. This happened about noon today. Crews cleared the snow by 2 p.m. UDOT, however, is continuing to monitor conditions.
That's Big Cottonwood Canyon. In Little Cottonwood Canyon, there was a close call in the backcountry. In a report to the Utah Avalanche Center, a snowboarder described triggering an avalanche along the south ridge of Mount Superior. The avalanche was about 600 feet wide, 3 feet deep, slid nearly 3,000 feet, and stopped just a few hundred feet short of the road. Nobody was hurt.
Things are unstable right now. Take a look at the very latest avalanche danger rating map from the Utah Avalanche Center. All areas of the Wasatch Front right now are in the high danger category. For the latest map, you can go to utahavalanchecenter.org.
A woman is dead after a snowmobile accident in Wasatch County. The sheriff's office says it happened near Daniels Summit at about 3 this afternoon. Authorities are trying to figure out what led up to the accident and how it happened. The woman's identity has not yet been released.
The Jazz game with the Golden State Warriors was postponed tonight after one of the Warriors' assistant coaches died this morning.
The Warriors says Dejan Milojevic suffered a heart attack during a team dinner last night here in Salt Lake City.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with basketball fans and a local cardiologist and joins us in studio tonight. What did you find out, Chris?
Well, yeah, good evening, Bob and Kelly. Milo Jovic was an assistant for the Warriors since 2021, winning an NBA title with them the following year. This after a 15-year career playing overseas. Now his death at just 46 years old, coming as a shock to fans and the pro basketball world as a whole. The NBA honoring the loss of one of their own.
The global basketball community joins the NBA family in mourning the sudden passing of Golden State Warriors assistant coach Dejan Milojevic.
With a moment of silence before the Los Angeles Lakers game against the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday.
Devastating for the Warriors organization, for the NBA. It's just really tragic.
The sudden passing of Milojevic being felt by Jazz fans as well. Nicole Sherman was supposed to be at their game Wednesday night against the Golden State Warriors. Signs outside the Delta Center showing the game had been postponed.
So unexpected. It sounded like they were all out to dinner. I mean, that just had to have been really hard for everyone to experience.
The Warriors releasing this statement, confirming that Milojevic had suffered a heart attack during a team dinner Tuesday night in Salt Lake at Valters Osteria, according to The Athletic. He was taken to the hospital where he died Wednesday morning. Valters made this post on their Facebook, saying their hearts go out to the Warriors, adding the Warriors have been a wonderful part of their family for years. The Jazz also put out a statement expressing their condolences following Milojevic's passing, adding he was a well-respected member of the NBA family. Milojevic was 46 years old and leaves behind a wife and 2 children.
I should make it clear that I had no role in his care in any way, so I don't know precisely the details. But I think it's always a frightening moment when we see someone who's as young as he was, only 46 years old, who dies suddenly from a cardiac disease.
Dr. Kirk Knowlton is the director of cardiovascular research with Intermountain's Health Heart program. He says they often call this sudden cardiac arrest or sudden cardiac death.
Sometimes they can occur without any real symptoms preceding that or without any known disease. It can be in the setting of what appears to be a healthy person.
Dr. Knowlton brought up a couple of points he feels can be helpful in a situation like this.
If you can start CPR and then look quickly or have someone look for an automatic external defibrillator or AED that are now available in most public facilities. If you can get the person's rhythm and their heart back toward normal, within 5 to 10 minutes, it makes a huge difference on whether they'll be able to survive or not.
As for NBA fans like Sherman,
I feel like they're handling it in a very respectful manner.
well, with the postponement of the Jazz game with the Warriors, the team says all tickets will be honored for the rescheduled game. Now, a new date has not been set at this time. In studio, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A death warrant has been filed to execute condemned killer Ralph Leroy Menzies. The Utah Attorney General's office filed a warrant to seek to have Menzies put to death. He's slated to die by firing squad for the 1986 kidnapping and murder of Maureen Hunsaker. Her body was found in Big Cottonwood Canyon. Court records do not indicate if the judge has signed the warrant or even set a hearing date. As Fox 13 News first reported in October, Menzies has exhausted his appeals. He is, however, part of a lawsuit challenging Utah's death penalty statutes.
St. George police need your help finding a missing and endangered man. This is 29-year-old Caden Davis. He was last seen leaving his home on foot yesterday near 300 South, 600 East. He does not have a cell phone with him. He is 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 200 pounds. Police say he has a medical condition that puts him at risk. If you see Davis or know where he is, call St. George Police.
The Utah House Business and Labor Committee passed a bill today that could restrict transgender Utahns from using public bathrooms that align with their gender identity.
Supporters say the bill brings more equality to women in Utah, while opponents feel it targets a group that already faces discrimination. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree has more.
Trans people are an undeniable aspect of our world. You can either choose to fight that reality or choose to organize for our dignity.
Transgender Utahns and allies came to Capitol Hill Wednesday to voice their opposition to what they call the bathroom bill.
It feels like we're talking to a brick wall. It feels as though no matter how many people we bring up to Capitol Hill and we plead and we tell our stories, these people are led by political interests. They're not led by the interests of the people.
Representative Kira Birkeland says the sex-based designations for privacy, anti-bullying, and women's opportunities bill defines what a man and a woman is. It would require schools to set up private, single-occupancy bathrooms for transgender kids. Also, transgender adults could only use the gendered bathroom of their choice in public buildings if they've undergone sex reassignment surgery and changed their sex on their birth certificate.
There's no verification that they are truly transgender, and they start to perpetrate on women, and put women particularly, is the cases that I've seen, at risk. Law enforcement and county people aren't really sure how to go about this.
Aside from the bathroom issue, multiple advocates for domestic violence and abuse survivors spoke up at the meeting, raising concerns about how this bill could require shelters to discriminate against transgender women.
Our programs are already underfunded, and if we lose any additional funding, federal funding, this would be extremely detrimental to victims of sexual assault.
Some parents say this bill would prevent women and children from encountering men in private spaces.
All of us want to feel safe in every space that we're in, but most importantly in spaces where there's an expectation that we would have privacy.
Additionally, Birkeland says the bill would require schools to treat female athletes more equally in accordance with Title IX.
There's women's teams in our high schools when it comes to cross country or track that aren't given locker rooms, but the boys are. There are girls' high school basketball soccer teams that always have to play soccer on the middle school field, but the boys' soccer team always plays on the high school field.
The bill was favorably recommended in a 12-3 vote.
The bill passes 12-3.
It goes to the House floor for a vote next. In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
My insurance denied me. They said they're not covering it anymore.
The story of a woman that needed Ozempic but not for weight loss, why she can no longer get it, and what a local doctor says about the trend, coming up.
Troubling new data out from the American Cancer Society.
A new report finds colon cancer is now the deadliest type of cancer in men younger than 50. We'll explain what else researchers found.
Dylan Jones is one of the top NBA prospects in the state, and he plays at Weber State. He'll tell us about his journey to get to Ogden coming up.
A bill to replace diversity, equity, and inclusion offices in Utah has passed out of the House Education Committee.
The bill would eliminate statements in support of diversity in job applications, get rid of mandatory training, and would replace DEI offices on higher ed campuses with all-encompassing student success centers. It was a packed committee room with hours of public comment for and against the bill.
I want you as my legislators, the people that I vote in, the people that I trust, to really think about what's going to be eliminated when you remove this. When we remove this, we're taking away systems of support that have been placed for a reason.
It stops discrimination and does not apply discrimination. This does not create discrimination.
Take a step back and see what DEI has done and can do for us, both positive and the negative.
The bill was tweaked in response to some concerns. The sponsor says student groups like the Black or Polynesian student unions would stay, but colleges would no longer have the name DEI. There is also some modifications to ensure that Utah colleges and universities still get federal money tied to those initiatives. You may see more modifications as the bill goes to the full House of Representatives.
Utah Senate leaders say the controversial social media age verification law will likely be replaced with something else this session. The law requires social media platforms to verify the age of every user, but the state is also being sued by social media platforms and users who say the laws restrict speech and access to the internet. A bill is coming within the next week or so that would rewrite what the legislature has already passed.
All the same principles will be there to protect minors. It just may be in a different format rather than having the Department of Commerce develop all these rules on how they have to comply.
This has been part of a long-standing state campaign, including lawsuits against social media platforms, accusing them of harming the mental health of Utah's youth.
Another bill would limit discussion on certain topics in classrooms. Draper Representative Jeff Stenquist says classrooms shouldn't be a place of political activism. His bill dictates content neutral. It also limits discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity to within the bounds of approved curriculum.
It's not about people's existence for sure. It's about advocating for certain political or ideological viewpoints that are outside the curriculum. That's really what it's about.
But you're specifically saying you can't discuss sexual orientation or gender identity. I guess in what context?
Well, in the context of not advocating for a student to change their sexual identity or change their gender identity. That's the context is advocating to or encouraging a student to change.
The bill would also ban flags in classrooms like Pride or Black Lives Matter flags. Representative Stenquist says it doesn't speak to ideology of any flag. Groups like Equality Utah and the American Federation of Teachers say they do have concerns about the constitutionality of the bill.
Moving on to your weather, getting you ready for our next storm moving through northern Utah right at this hour now. This morning we had the snow, and late morning into the afternoon, some additional snow which posed all kinds of problems on the freeways, on the highways, where as we shared this photo coming up on our Facebook page from Scott Taylor with a drone, highlighting the snow that was in place standing on the side of the roads as it was treacherous moving through the afternoon here along the Wasatch Front, as it's going to be somewhat dangerous here for tonight, at least through some of northern Utah. Now, snow totals with this storm. Again, really kicking things in late morning into the afternoon. That's where we found more significant snowfall, where many valley locations picking up anywhere between 2 inches on the low end to 8 inches, as you can see in West Haven, looking at some of the Wasatch back, where Eden, you picked up 7 inches of snow. Alta, 9 inches, with additional snow expected across the mountains of northern Utah, as we do have winter storm warnings in effect. Now, the high today, 39 degrees, exactly where we should be for this time of year. We're actually going to be on a little bit of a warming trend moving through the rest of the week, where tonight we're going to keep temperatures above freezing for some of the Wasatch Front. That means as we do see some showers, could be mainly rain here, particularly as we look in Salt Lake City. As we go outside right now along the Wasatch Front, temperatures above freezing in Salt Lake City, but Ogden and Provo closer to freezing, meaning that this is definitely an area where we'll see a mixture of some rain and snow as we go through, as we're going to be holding on to a winter storm warning that's still in effect for the mountains of northern Utah. Now, winter weather advisory still in place for some valley locations. Looks like we'll see a better chance of that snow sticking to the roads and accumulating as you go towards the northern end of the Wasatch Front through Cache Valley. Most mountain locations through central Utah, you'll be picking up anywhere between 3 to additional 6 inches of snow. But for the mountains of northern Utah, as we go forward the night, it looks like we're going to be seeing a range on the low end. Sundance 2 inches, maybe 7 inches at Alta, more though in Beaver Mountain. So we could comfortably say 5 to 10 inches still getting out from the storm, and we've seen what it's producing, which already really bringing in the snow and building up that snowpack. This is good news. Now, we're not going to see as much in the valleys, but as we go further northward, we'll have those colder temperatures north of Ogden. We'll see a little bit here, looking at a range between 1 to 3 inches as we go up from Brigham City over towards Cache Valley, even through some of the Wasatch back, could maybe get an additional 2 to 4 inches. As all this activity really falling here tonight through early tomorrow morning. We'll keep showers going throughout the mountains until tomorrow afternoon, but we're seeing that next push of that moisture coming in, starting to see those showers. And we've been looking at some of the traffic cameras moving along 84, also along I-15 up near Malad, starting to fill in through Cache Valley. Notice some of the colors though, mixture of rain and snow currently, as you see there in pink just south of Logan, and then transitioning over towards Brigham City. Temperatures, again, depending on where you're at, where temperatures are at during that precipitation time, that's where we'll see either snow or rain or a mixture of both. But I'm really thinking from the central Wasatch Front to the southern end of the Wasatch Front, it'll be mainly rain, as we kind of saw earlier on today. Now, take a look at our computer models, where let's go through the timing of it all. It begins to fill in. Again, you're looking at that green here with rain showers from Ogden southward, and then it tapers off tomorrow morning, except if you're traveling through the canyons, the snow showers will continue on, but by mid-morning, it's clearing out. We'll have some clouds, and then we're good to go, where we get a break as we look towards at least the beginning of the weekend. So tonight, it's the showers across northern Utah, central and southern Utah Utah, mostly clear. Tomorrow, it's partly cloudy day across northern Utah, a little bit warmer, fairly mild temperatures through central Utah, or for St. George's, upper 50s. Now, next storm for you, reach for the weekend. Looks like we have rain Sunday, Monday through Tuesday. We'll keep temperatures in the 50s for most days. Wasatch Front, that next storm coming in from the southwest, mild temperatures where it'll be a mixture of some rain and snow Sunday, Monday, with some lingering rain showers into Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll keep the storms going, but they're not too cold. We'll be back right after the break.
A new report says more people younger than the age of 50 are getting cancer.
The American Cancer Society says that was the only adult demographic group that saw an overall increase in cancer cases between 1995 and 2020. Also, colorectal cancer has become the leading cause of cancer death in men younger than 50 and the second leading cause of cancer death in women younger than 50. Overall, cancer deaths are down here in the U.S., largely due to fewer people smoking, earlier detection, and improved treatments.
A shipment of medicine for dozens of hostages held by Hamas has arrived in Gaza. The shipment has been months in the making. Diplomats from France and Qatar have been working on an agreement with Hamas since the week-long ceasefire with Israel back in November. A senior Hamas official has said that for every box of medicine provided for hostages, 1,000 boxes would be sent in for Palestinians. The deal also includes the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza residents.
A judge in Maine is waiting to decide whether former President Donald Trump will be eligible for the state's 2024 presidential ballot. Instead, the judge told state election officials to wait for the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on a similar case in Colorado. Mr. Trump's legal team appealed the Secretary of State's decision to remove him from the primary ballot. He is the GOP frontrunner in Maine.
It's a drug being used for weight loss.
It has become Hollywood's little secret, I like to say.
Now the people who need it for life-saving treatment
There's not a cure for it.
are having a hard time finding it.
My insurance denied me. They said they're not covering it anymore.
Fox 13 investigates. Next.
Call it a craze, a fad, perhaps the hottest new trend. These days, it's not just celebrities trying to get their hands on injections typically meant to treat diabetes.
The off-label use of these treatments promises a weight loss, quick weight loss, which is enticing to many people, but at what cost? Fox 13 News investigative consumer reporter Robin O'Guigne has a look at how the Ozempic obsession is affecting those who depend on the drug to live.
Catherine Weber has a lengthy resume of interest. She's a hiker, dog lover, waterfall chaser, and a kindergarten teacher for the Canyon School District, a job she enjoys. But a few years ago, she wasn't able to do all the things she loved the same way.
I was having a lot of pain, irregular menstrual cycles, hair growth that was abnormal, but mostly the pain was just excruciating. I was calling into work because I couldn't sleep because I was in so much pain. I was up for hours at night.
For months, Catherine went to see doctors, but no one could tell her what was wrong. Finally, a clue emerged in some of her blood work. She was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, often called PCOS. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a condition where you have few, unusual, or very long periods. It often results in having too much of a male hormone called androgen. Many small sacs of fluid develop on the ovaries that may fail to regularly release eggs.
There's not a cure for it. There's not really a way to treat it. It's just kind of managing it.
But there was one method Catherine found to manage some of her symptoms. Enter.
It has become Hollywood's little secret, I like to say, that has really gotten out.
I sat down with Dr. Richard Ferguson to talk about why women like Catherine have turned to drugs meant to treat diabetes like Ozempic to mitigate their PCOS symptoms and how it works. He first tells me why they use it.
They'll have increased weight gain, they'll have increased insulin resistance, and how it acts in the pancreas is it binds to a receptor that stimulates increased secretion of insulin and production of insulin. Thus, insulin, we need it in our body, to move glucose from that's in our bloodstream into our cells. So it helps to lower our background or elevated blood glucose levels.
But beyond its intended use for diabetes, many have turned to Ozempic and other drugs referred to as GLP-1 agonists for weight loss.
It's gotten out into mainstream where someone says, okay, I can pay $800 to up to $1,300 a month, and now I can get into my old swimsuit. But they may not have a chronic obesity problem with associated risk factors of hypertension, high cholesterol, and pre-diabetic state. The manufacturer has not made enough to meet this demand, so that's why there's a shortage.
That shortage has created a pricey puzzle for patients like Catherine to figure out. Her insurance company is now denying her coverage for Ozempic.
They said they're not covering it anymore just because there are so many people using it now for weight loss and, in their words, misusing it. And so they just were not covering it unless you are diabetic. I was on the phone with doctors and my insurance trying to fight it and trying to send in my blood work and show them that, look, I'm not taking it for weight loss. I need it for my insulin, but I'm not diabetic, but I still have this problem because of PCOS. And they just told me that, nope.
There's a gaggle of diabetes drugs out there which have been prescribed by doctors for what we call off-label use, basically using it to treat conditions other than diabetes. I do want to mention PCOS would be included as off-label use. These drugs have grown so popular, chances are you've heard of these. Ozempic is made by Novo Nordisk. It has not yet been indicated by the FDA specifically for weight loss. Then there's Victoza, also a creation of Novo Nordisk. It too has been used for weight loss, but has not been FDA indicated for that purpose. Mounjaro, created by Eli Lilly, has not been FDA indicated to treat weight loss either. But then there's Wegovy, one of the first GLP-1s approved specifically for weight loss. Last year, the average number of weekly Ozempic prescriptions rose 33%. That's data tracked by the IQVIA Institute for Data Science. Dr. Ferguson says often a promotional deal will often lure people in with coupons located on the drug's website. So you may get a discount for the first several months you use it, but long term, many people stop because the price tag is too high.
And the thing is, if you aren't able to sustain it, the weight comes back. Often 60% of that weight will be gained back within 3 to 4 months.
What can be done? Overseas, the UK's health department is cracking down, making sure insurance companies are paying attention and restricting coverage, particularly to those that have chronic weight management associated with other diseases, like heart disease. They're also raising accountability at pharmacies, setting new guidelines that limit the amount of GLP-1s that a singular pharmacy receives. What isn't being done often enough here is getting doctors to prescribe the drugs less.
But really, it's going to start at the doc or the prescriber at the time that is truly saying, every time I probably write this for someone that has a low BMI or lower BMI because they want to have a certain image, that it can be rather frustrating, and just know that it's going to someone that is not as in much need. They just have the means.
And Catherine has a proposal for insurance companies.
I even suggested to my insurance company to have me sign a waiver saying I am not using it for weight loss, and to submit the blood work to show the actual reason that I need it. If you put those stipulations in place, then you would see what I'm actually using it for and that I'm not abusing it.
I reached out to Catherine's insurance company, PEHP, to see if there was any resolution for her. This was the response from their chief clinical officer. Quote, PEHP is not able to comment on any specific patient or coverage request. At this time, Ozempic is only FDA approved for type 2 diabetes management. As with coverage for any drug, we look to FDA and other medically reviewed data to understand the benefits, side effects, alternatives, and cost relativities in deciding if coverage change is supported. I also reached out to other insurance providers, including Aetna, Cigna, and United Healthcare, to see how they were handling distribution of GLP-1s for people like Catherine who benefit from their use but aren't using them for weight loss. Aetna told me they did not want to comment. I did not hear back from Cigna or United Healthcare. Robin Ogunye, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, a new study from BYU identifies the exact types of medications needed for coughs versus congestion and more. We'll talk with the researcher.
And were you surprised by your gas bill this month? We hear from some Utahns who are looking for answers as prices skyrocket. Former Salt Lake City Councilwoman Amy Fowler has been sentenced to 12 months of probation after pleading guilty to impaired driving. This incident led her to resign her seat. She will get no jail time but pay a $1,400 fine. A new study from Brigham Young University breaks down what medications work best for each symptom. And the big two, cough and congestion. We spoke with one of the researchers who says for cough, it's important to look at ingredients. Dextromethorphan is the big one. You can find it in Deslum, NyQuil, and Robitussin. When it comes to congestion, there's one medication you're going to want to look for.
Really, the go-to for congestion is pseudoephedrine, and that's really what you should be using.
Well, she adds that your next best option is using an antihistamine.
Dominion Energy says most people will see their highest gas bill during December and January, but customers say their last bill was almost too high, and they're wondering why. One man in West Jordan says his bill has gone up 65% over the last 3 years. Another woman in Syracuse says her bill is higher this January than it was last January. They both say they're trying to use less natural gas. They're also confused because this winter is tamer than last winter.
It cuts into small businesses like myself, women that work from home like me, beauticians, groomers, estheticians, people that have, customers coming into their home.
Dominion Energy says the market costs were so unexpectedly high last winter that impacted how much the current rates are. The company is applying for a decrease in rates that, if approved, would decrease February 1st.
Well, as we go to a break, let's go out and take a look. UDOT traffic camera. This is up Sardine Canyon, snow-packed roads as snow is beginning to fall. How about seeing snow in the valleys? What are our chances for tomorrow morning's commute? I'll answer that coming up after the break.
College basketball season's heating up, and the hottest player in the state may be at Weber State. Dylan Jones is a stat filler for the Wildcats. We'll hear from him on how he got to Weber State, what his #1 goal is this season, coming up in sports.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has announced 2 changes to the presidency of the 70. Elder Carl B. Cook, a member of the presidency since 2018, is now the senior president, and Elder Marcus B. Nash has been appointed to the presidency to fill the vacancy created when Elder Patrick Kieran was called to the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Meanwhile, for the very first time in its history, the Community of Christ has appointed a woman, Stacy D. Cram, to lead the global faith of 250,000 members. The religion was formerly known as the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's headquartered in Independence, Missouri. Cram has served in the governing First Presidency. The church started ordaining women in 1984.
As we go outside right now, giving you a view from our Natural History Museum camera. Of course, earlier on we saw the snow. Then as the snow cleared out, we had a thin layer of smog and haze. Air quality was not good, but we've been seeing some improvements moving through the evening in preparation of our next storm, where current temperature in Salt Lake City, 38 degrees. Winds out of the southeast at 8 miles per hour. We're seeing more of a westerly, southwesterly flow as a storm system beginning to make its move here across northern Utah. But as I mentioned with the air quality improvements, where earlier on we had yellow and even orange moving from that moderate to unhealthy here, but green as we track from Davis through Salt Lake Valley, Salt Lake County, even towards the point of the mountain. Looking through Utah County, for the most part in the green, some areas of yellow, but air quality shouldn't be an issue as we look towards tomorrow because, another second wave hitting for tonight. We're starting to see those showers tracking through extreme northern Utah. as it's coming in where most valley locations will be above freezing. So we're going to be looking at some rain, maybe a little mixture of some rain and snow, particularly as we go northern Wasatch Front, extreme northern Utah. It'll be mainly snow, but wet roads expecting for the morning commute. And the concern is with those wet roads, especially across northern Utah, as we'll have below freezing temperatures. We definitely could see some icy conditions tracking north of Ogden. Wet roads expected though for the morning commute, slushy conditions here as we still have a winter storm warning in effect for the mountains. Looking to pick up an additional 5 to 10 inches for the mountain locations. Now valleys, as I said, an inch or two extreme northern Utah, but as we go from Weber, Davis, Salt Lake County over towards Tooele Valley and even further south, we're going to just get a little bit of action and not a lot of snow accumulations here. As we take a look at satellite radar, they've seen that active radar currently as we go north of Brigham City. Again, pink is a mixture of rain and snow. We've got the green, which is rain, which will be the case where rain should fall as we go moving through areas such as Layton, down through Farmington, into North Salt Lake, and then throughout the Salt Lake Valley once we get to about 10, 11 o'clock night. Now this storm system is going to push through and then exit by tomorrow morning early, at least for the valley locations. We should be good to go, but lingering snow showers expected for the mountains. And then we get a break as we see our next storm system way out there. It doesn't get here until late Saturday. So taking a look at the snow totals, looking ahead over the next 24 hours, really the focus is mainly confined to northern Utah, as we're going to see with that darker blue, the focus for the mountain locations. So canyon travel will be an issue come tomorrow morning. Slushy conditions expected. Now here in the valleys, it's mainly rain. We could see a mixture of some rain and snow, but we're not worried about seeing snow accumulation. Now along the benches, again, we might see a little accumulation, some standing snow there on the roadways, but for the most part, it'll just be wet with the rain. So rain going on throughout the morning, but by 4, 5 o'clock, it starts tapering off as we look at your hour by hour forecast, getting ready for the morning commute. We'll be looking at temperatures above freezing with afternoon highs getting up into the low 40s, so slightly above average and even warmer towards central Utah. How about upper 40s in Milford, Cedar City, topping off at 50 degrees in Moab, upper 50s in St. George. That's mild. That feels nice as temperatures look to climb throughout the weekend, but bringing in some clouds Saturday. Now the next storm really brings precipitation throughout the whole state, meaning that we'll see rain in St. George at least for 3 days, going from Sunday through Tuesday. Northern Utah will break tomorrow, Friday some clouds, Saturday next storm. Look at these temperatures as they will be well above freezing. We'll see a lot of rain, and then during the periods of where we'll see some colder temperatures, it might be a little bit of rain snow mix. Definitely seeing snow up the mountains, several inches expected here. This is good news for our snowpack, not good for traveling, and of course for our morning and afternoon commutes, as we'll be looking at wet weather to start off next week and then through the weekend.
The best college basketball player in the state might not be at Utah, BYU, or Utah State, but at Weber State. The Wildcats have seen their share of good players before, and now you can put Dylan Jones near the top of that list. Here's Fox 13's Morgan Vance.
The Big Sky Conference has divvied out 10 Player of the Week honors so far this season, and 5 of those have gone to one man.
I just remember everything that went into it, I'm not just here because, I think I'm a talented player. I'm not just here on talent alone, I had to spend a lot of hours in this gym, sweat a lot, bleed a lot.
It all began over 2,000 miles from here in Columbia, South Carolina. You know anything at all before you came?
I knew nothing about Utah. Actually, nothing.
And yet, from the moment Dylan Jones touched down in Weber County, number 2 looked primed to be one of the best ever to roll through the D Event Center. From Big Sky Freshman of the Year to unanimous preseason MVP, not even a guy named Lillard ever managed to surpass 1,000 points, 800 boards, 250 assists, and 100 steals while wearing purple.
He's a stat stuffer. He does it in every area. The best defensive rebounding percentage player in America right now.
Weber State head coach Eric Duft has been around the program for nearly 2 decades. You saw Dame up close here for 3 years. Any similarities?
Just 2 great competitors. Those guys are just innately born with great competitive spirit, competitive stamina. They bring it every day.
Jones for the win! MVP indeed!
DJ this past summer elected to return to Ogden after what he describes as a whirlwind surprise run at the NBA Draft Combine.
Initially, I wasn't even in the G League Combine. And, got a call from my agent and told me, got in with one of the last spots. And from that point, it moved very quick. And that whole week, 10 days changed my life.
Jones found anywhere between mid-first round and second round on 2024 mock draft boards, but before that comes, has unfinished business with the Cats.
Win a championship. That's all I really care about. Everywhere I've been in my career, I've won championships. I think I'm a winning player, and I think that's how you become validated as a player.
Weber State resumes play tomorrow night against Eastern Washington. Morgan Vance, Fox 13 Sports.
Ooh.
They've had a lot of good players at Weber State. He's right up there in that NBA Combine last year. He's probably got a bright future as a pro. So.
What year is he in school?
This is last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Great
big things
legacy.
could happen this year for him.
Yep.
Keep us updated.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Utah State University's folklore department combed through the popular memes of 2023 to find what they argue is, quote, the best meme of the year. Oh my gosh, I love this. They base their meme of the year designation on cultural relevancy. And the winner for this past year, what do you think? Drum roll.
Hard to say,
Look at this.
Drum roll, Barbie memes. That is our big winner, Barbenheimer, really the double feature of the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer opening up, which gave us a really amazing symbolic theme, which is opposites, dichotomies.
I would
Okay.
say, yeah, those are opposites. Oppenheimer and Barbie.
I guess some sort of Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
Travis
Up there.
Kelce meme or something.
Hasn't Barbie kind of faded now? Just
I don't know.
little.
Brick still wears his Knuff. I'm Knuff t-shirt, right?
You'll have to wear that on air one day.
If he were only to take off his tie.
There's so many memes. You don't have to look far to get a couple good laughs on social media these days.
So fun.
You guys might have just made a meme out of Breck and his t-shirt.
That's right.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Quickcast is up next.